Hey guys, this is Jack, and I'm going to be doing my final predictions for the Oscars, which is going to be happening next week. So I actually had a lot of time to finish pretty much every category, probably except I think was it short animation. I couldn't find like the last two animated films that are on that list. So instead, I'll probably just go with my head and predict those. But yeah, the rest of the categories I've seen pretty much everything. I'm already like way ahead of everybody else in terms of watching all the movies. But yeah, like this season's been pretty cool, and I know a lot of predictive stuff that's going to happen when we get into the Oscars next week. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video and share it if you want to. But yeah, so let's start with Best Picture. So let's start with Best Picture, which is pretty easy and pretty obvious if you've been following the race for the past couple months. Oppenheimer is going to take number one easily. No questions asked. Like, it's been sweeping everywhere from like the Golden Globes, BAFTAs, Critics' Choice. Like, it's sweeping everywhere. It's been sweeping for the past couple months. Some movies haven't like completely stopped it from its tracks. Not even The Holdovers or even Poor Things, which were poised to be kind of like runner-ups or challengers, but it seems like that's not going to happen once we get into the Oscar ceremony. So yeah, like I have Oppenheimer at number one. Hypothetically, if there was a runner-up, I put The Holdovers as number two, and that's probably because it's actually kind of like a classical Oscar type of movie. It's baity, but like it's also very heartwarming and like comedic, and it has all like the dramatic moments that makes it become kind of like a Oscar classic. And Poor Things, if it came out in another year, maybe last year or the year before, it probably would have won, mainly because the Oscars have been kind of like really into more unique and out there concepts that actually like stick to the landing. And I can also say the same thing with the Zone of Interest, even though a lot of like the anonymous ballots that's been coming out for the past couple of days have been kind of putting it up at number one, but still a lot of people are putting either Oppenheimer or The Holdovers at number two and number three. But there's a lot of people who still love the Zone of Interest. That's me too. I personally would love it to win Best Picture, but it's not going to. And then 5, Anatomy of a Fall. That's another one that's been like showing up a lot on anonymous ballots that have been kind of like published across the trades. A lot of people are enjoying that, putting it at their number one or number two. I can see that winning if some weird shit happens during the ceremony, but it's not going to happen again. And Barbie, it's going down, down, down. Killers is also another one that's going down, down, down. And the rest are just kind of just there. Past Lives, Maestro, and American Fiction at 8, 9, and 10. I really don't have anything else to say about those that I've actually talked about in the last video back in, I think it was like October. But yeah, like this whole like entire like 1 through 10, like low key, I think it's like one of the best like top 10 just lineup in general since 2019. Like, I can actually agree with all of these, and all of these were actually pretty great. I know a lot of people were talking shit about Maestro for the past couple months, but I actually still enjoy that movie. I think Bradley Cooper, he directed such a wild and kind of contained story about Bernstein, and instead of just playing it straight like a biopic, he just decides to make it more romantic and about like the family and like the relationship between the music and his personal life. But yeah, like that's just me. I really enjoyed it. That's why it's like at number 9, like down on the lineup list. But yeah, if that movie came out in like the early 2000s, it would probably sweep. But yeah, that's like my top 10 for Best Picture. So for Best Director, it's another one that's pretty easy. Christopher Nolan at number 1. He swept everywhere, PA, Globes, critics, you name it. Like he's been sweeping. Like nobody else has been like challenging him. I would have thought that either Yorgos or Scorsese would have took the award from him, but it seems like it's not going to happen. And it totally makes sense. Oppenheimer is probably like low-key Nolan's most celebrated and loved film past Inception, Interstellar, and the Dark Knight trilogy. So like it makes sense for him to finally like get it here. So yeah, like I don't really see anybody else taking it. I don't really see Triet taking it. Even if she has a lot of international love, especially also Jonathan Glazer, which would be wild and crazy if he actually took it after Christopher Nolan has been like sweeping everywhere. That's like the dream kind of consolation thing that I would love to see, but yeah, that's not gonna happen. So yeah, like it's simple, it's easy. Nolan number 1, Scorsese number 2, Lanthimos number 3, Triet, and then Glazer at 4 and 5. So for Best Actress, this is actually probably the most challenging category. Again, for the past 4 years, there's been a lot of just crazy shit happening with like this category. And once again, we're back at the same versus person. Last year it was Yeoh versus Blanchett. Now this year it's between the Stones, Gladstone and Emma Stone. And what we saw was that last week Gladstone took the SAGs, and then Emma Stone took the BAFTA, and now we're kind of seeing a matchup again for the ages. And I know Film Twitter is fighting their ass off between both of them, and I'm just kind of like, all right, well, I gotta like read the room and figure out which one's gonna be the kind of like the real winner. But I'm going with Gladstone mainly because they don't want Killers of the Flower Moon to like leave home empty. They at least want to like take one award. And it would make sense for Gladstone to take it here, even though her performance is categorized from a lot of people who've seen it, like me, kind of like a supporting role. But at the same time, her presence continues to loom even past her screen time when she kind of leaves the narrative halfway through the movie and then comes back. But once again, there's also kind of like this thing where a lot of people still want to award Emma Stone her second Oscar because this performance is incredible and probably one of her best past La La Land and The Favorite, which makes sense. And I totally get that because I think Emma Stone in Poor Things is fucking fantastic. So it's that like weird kind of like matchup again from like last year with Michelle Yeoh being like in the industry for the past couple of years, decades, and now she's finally getting her flowers, while Cate Blanchett, her performance was poised to be one of the best of her career, and it's just doing the same thing again. But I'm going with Gladstone. I wouldn't be surprised if Emma Stone takes it. At number 3, I have Sandra Hüller, who is kind of a threat, but not really because she hasn't really won anything other than like the Caesar Awards. I think it was like a week or two ago, but that was in Europe. She could have won the BAFTA and it would have been actually kind of like a full-on kind of a 3-way race, but now it's just like, okay, well, it's between the Stones. So I would love to see Sandra Hüller take it. That would be hilarious, and it would be fucking chaos across Twitter. And low-key, like, I think it's like the best performance in this category, but that's just me. So yeah, like, I have those at top 3, and then 4, I have Carey Mulligan, and then number 5, Annette Bening. In the Chaos Dimension, Annette Bening wins for Nyad, and that would be kind of hilarious if it actually happened in real life, because a lot of people would be pissed off. I don't think Annette Bening in Nyad is great. It's not her best performance, but it is what it is. She's just there. But yeah, that's my top 5 for Best Actress. So for Best Actor, I have Cillian Murphy at number 1, Paul Giamatti number 2, Jeffrey Wright number 3, Bradley Cooper number 4, and then Coleman Domingo number 5. Yeah, so it's been like split with this category, once again with also Best Actress, but I think this one makes more sense because Cillian Murphy, like, he's the face of Oppenheimer. It makes sense for him to win here. He plays kind of like a subdued, kind of like low-key performance, but like he's doing a lot of things. He's crying, he's being angry, he's kind of being consoled with a lot of stuff that's happening in between the movie. So yeah, like it makes sense for him to win here. But then yet again, Paul Giamatti, career award. He's been in the industry for a long time, and The Holdovers is like the perfect like Oscar performance. And I characterized it once again kind of just like a performance where he's just doing a lot of things. He's crying, he's well, not like completely explosively crying, but like he's doing things that are like classic like Oscar performance type of thing. But yeah, like it's also been split because he won the Critics' Choice, the Globe, and that's kind of like the thing where if you combine those stat wise, you can take the Oscar. And same goes with like Cillian Murphy, who won the BAFTA and also won the Globes. So those two can kind of like go together. So yeah, like it's been a fight between both of them. I wouldn't be shocked if Paul Giamatti takes it, but also I wouldn't be shocked if Cillian Murphy takes it. So this category, I'm just like, it's whatever. Like, I don't care. Like, I'll be happy with both of them because both of them are fucking great. And like this whole category is really pretty damn good. Jeffrey Wright, number 3, he should have won here, but he'll have his chance next time around. Hopefully he does. I hopefully get to see more of his performances be nominated here. Same with Coleman Domingo, who has a lot more time to really cook and do more things. And like Bradley Cooper, same thing. Like I know a lot of people are making fun of him and trying to like put him in a box and just making fun of like his campaign choices, which I totally get because this guy is just literally crying about being a part of this movie and being like Leonard Bernstein, and him being like, oh yeah, like I'm part of like Leonard Bernstein, and I met this guy, which he didn't meet him, and just a lot of like stupid like overbearing kind of campaign shit that he's been doing. So yeah, like I get it. He'll have his chance next time around. But yeah, number 1, Cillian Murphy, Paul Giamatti number 2, Jeffrey Wright number 3, Bradley Cooper number 4, and Coleman Domingo number 5. So best supporting actress. This is another one it's pretty easy if you've been following the race for the past couple months. Da'Vine Joy Randolph has been sweeping literally everywhere. She, I think, has the most record for most wins in the supporting actress category. Like, literally nobody has been stopping her. Nobody has been taking her award away. So, yeah, like, it would be stupid for anyone to not predict Da'Vine Joy Randolph in this category. Unless you're a weirdo who wants to really still predict Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer. Good luck, but you're probably going to lose. That's number 2. Number 3, Danielle Brooks. Only nomination here for The Color Purple. Unfortunately, the movie flopped a little bit financially and in the paradigm of the cultural landscape, unfortunately, which is sad because I actually liked The Color Purple. I had some problems with it, but like Danielle Brooks' performance in that is really, really great. Jodie Foster's happy to be here, and America Ferrera doesn't make sense. Like her performance was fine. She has just the one big monologue, and the rest she's just kind of doing like a normal comedic performance. But at the same time, I'm happy she's here. But I would have preferred Sandra Hüller in Zone of Interest here. But it's okay. It's all right. She's just here. So yeah, like this top 5. It's all here. It's pretty simple, and yeah, Da'Vine Joy Randolph, she's taking it. So yeah, best supporting actor. This is another one where you're just like, okay, well, this is pretty easy. If you've been following the race for the past couple of weeks and months, nobody's stopping Robert Downey Jr. For Oppenheimer. So yeah, like you have to predict him, unfortunately. I think back in a couple months ago I predicted him here, but like also I put Mark Ruffalo at number 2 just for a little like watch out type of thing. But going throughout the race, nobody has been like taking his award away, so it makes sense for him just to be here at number 2, just to see if Poor Things is actually surging or actually going to win some stuff once we get into the ceremony. And you can say the same thing with Ryan Gosling and Barbie. If Barbie came out another year, I probably would have taken the award. And same with Robert De Niro, this is another unfortunate one because his performance in this movie, Killers of the Flower Moon, is probably one of his best in a pretty long time. I know a lot of people prefer either The Irishman or other Robert De Niro performances before that, but I think he's fucking great in here, and he's probably the one who should have won here. But yeah, this category is completely locked up, and like Sterling K. Brown in American Fiction is another one where in another year he probably could have won, but he's just happy to be here, and I'm happy for that. And I hope he gets nominated for more things here. So yeah, that's my top 5 for Best Supporting Actor. Best Adapted Screenplay. I think the last time I predicted this back in October, I put Barbie at number 1. And then I think Oppenheimer at number 2. If I remember correctly, I changed a lot of stuff on Golder, but now I have American Fiction at number 1 because it's been taking pretty much everything. I think it took like the BAFTA. I think it also took the Golden Globes, if I remember correctly. So yeah, like it's been actually the one who's been taking a lot of awards away from Barbie, which we expected Barbie to win here earlier in the race, but now it's not happening. So I totally get it. And I think American Fiction, like the book and then the movie adaptation, it's pretty different, but also it takes a lot of liberties from the book and then makes it more palatable to the screen. And on top of that, there's just a lot of like cool kind of like dialogue moments in the movie, and just a lot of stuff that makes sense and actually puts all of these like ideas together with like the satire about like the literary world and then just like the family drama. So yeah, it makes sense for it to win here. I would have loved to see Poor Things take it, or even Oppenheimer, which I think Oppenheimer's screenplay is probably Nolan's best written screenplay in quite a while. But yeah, it's not winning here. And Zone of Interest is another one where it's just happy to be here. I would have loved it to win here. But yeah, it's not going to happen. But yeah, that's my top 5 for Best Adapted Screenplay. So for Best Original Screenplay, I have Anatomy of a Fall at number 1. It did win the BAFTA. I think it also won the Globe. So yeah, like literally if you put 2 and 2 together, you'll have a win for Anatomy of a Fall. And again, makes sense. Dialogue's fucking incredible. There's a lot of quotables. There's a lot of curveballs in like the screenplay where like the story goes. And it's just a thrilling like 2.5 hour movie which never overstays its welcome. And yeah, like I loved the screenplay in Anatomy of a Fall, and I love the screenplay also in Past Lives and even The Holdovers. There's a lot of quotable dialogue and just a lot of stuff that happens in between like the story that makes it unique. And May December also has a lot of like cool stuff that's happening. And it's the only nomination here, which is unfortunate because I think May December, way back in October, I was predicting it also for, I think it was also Best Supporting Actor for Charles Melton. And yeah, travesty, crime, fucking, like, I hate it. Like, I truly hate it. Like, it's sad, but we're here now, and y'all are gonna rue the day. But yeah, like, I have that number 4 and the number 5 Maestro. Happy to be here. Just really happy to be here again. But yeah, so that's like my top 5 for Best Original Screenplay. So for Best Cinematography, number 1, I have Oppenheimer. Number 2, Poor Things. Number 3, Maestro. 4, Killers of the Flower Moon. And number 5, El Conde. El Conde is just happy to be here. I'm going to get to say a lot of stuff like happy to be here because it's literally happy to be here. Killers of the Flower Moon, a lot of cool photography is happening in that movie. I really enjoyed also like the lighting aspects in terms of just like the fire and like the explosion in the middle of the movie. Maestro is another one where I'm just like, it's really fucking cool with like the 4:3 aspect ratio, and then it kind of plays around with like black and white and then color and just a lot of like cool like sweeping shots. I think I remember the orchestra scene with Carey Mulligan like in the background, and you can kind of see like the shadow of like the spotlight hitting with her, and it's just a lot of like cool like composition shots in that movie. And Poor Things also has a lot of like cool compositions, and there's a lot of like weird lens blur and motion like blur and just a lot of depth of field stuff that's happening that's also puts Bella Baxter's like mind and makes her become an adult. But let's be real, Oppenheimer's going to take it because it's shot in IMAX and also shot in 70mm and 65mm, and it's playing again around with film and scope and scale and a lot of just a little cool just fuckery in terms of the cinematography. So yeah, like it makes sense for it to win here. So yeah, like I have Oppenheimer number 1, Poor Things number 2, Maestro number 3, Killers of the Flower Moon number 4, and then El Conde at number 5. So for Best Costume Design, this hasn't changed from like the last video. So straightforward: Barbie, Poor Things, Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon. I don't need to explain the costume design in Barbie because they literally do a scene where they throw a bunch of costumes out of a window and explain each detail of the costume. So it's already in the voters' minds. But runner-up is Poor Things because the costumes in Poor Things is pretty fucking cool, and there's a lot of cool dresses that Bella wears. And then the rest are just toss up and kind of okay, well, if both of those movies don't do any well, then Oppenheimer. If it's a really good night, Killers of the Flower Moon, yeah, makes sense because a lot of like the native costumes are pretty fucking cool and probably are handmade. Napoleon, yeah, makes sense. It's a war movie, so yeah, that's my top 5 for best costume design. So for best film editing, I have Oppenheimer. Jennifer Lame's editing in that movie is absolutely incredible, and it cuts between black and white perspective of Strauss to the color perspective of Oppenheimer, and again playing around with just the past, present, future. So it makes sense for Oppenheimer to win here. Anatomy of a Fall is another one which has a lot of cool editing tricks from the actual big courtroom scene with the audio playing in the background and then cutting to like the actual argument and then cutting back to the courtroom reactions of the argument. That's a really cool editing trick, and just the editing tricks near the end of the film, which I don't want to spoil. Poor Things has another cool kind of editing tricks type of thing, playing around with the idea of Bella growing up, becoming an adult, and then just going in between different locations, and just a lot of weird kind of editing choices to make the movie more funny or more thrilling. Killers of the Flower Moon also has the same thing. Not funny wise, but more in a dramatic way. And yeah, especially The Holders also has a lot of dramatic editing choices. And yeah, like this whole like top 5 it's pretty straightforward, and it totally makes sense with all of them. And yeah, that's why I have like Oppenheimer at number 1. It's not gonna like lose here, but yeah. So for best makeup and hairstyling, number 1 I have Maestro. Even if you don't like the movie, like the makeup in that movie is pretty damn great and has a lot of cool wigs and just makeup choices with Carey Mulligan's character, and controversially with Leonard Bernstein's big ass Jewish nose, which was vetted by the family, so you don't have to deal with that. It's still distractible, but it's whatever. Poor Things also has a lot of cool makeup stuff with Bella Baxter's face from being like a child to an adult. Society of Snow is one that I actually think should win here because a lot of the makeup is dealing with blood, a lot of scratches, and just a lot of gory stuff in the makeup and hairstyling. And it also attracts with like the actors who've actually starved themselves and actually did a lot of the things that the real people did, unfortunately. But yeah, like that makes sense. And Oppenheimer at number 4. Number 5, Golda. Hilarious nomination. Funny ass nomination. This movie is literally fucking Israeli propaganda, so it's really funny to have it here, and I'm glad it's here because it's a dumb and stupid fucking movie. And Helen Mirren's Jewish big ass nose is just right front and center, and they couldn't resist nominating it here. So yeah, like that's why it's at number 5. It would be hilarious for it to win, but I don't see that. So yeah, that's like best makeup and hairstyling. So for best production design, I have Barbie at number 1, Poor Things at number 2, Oppenheimer at number 3, Killers of the Flower Moon at number 4, and Mr. Napoleon at number 5. Yeah, makes sense. Again, Barbie production design, a lot of green screens and built sets, the real Barbie land. And if you've seen like the behind the scene videos, you already know this, so it makes sense for it to win here. Poor Things also as well, but like it's also on a soundstage, and they did a lot of cool green screen stuff and a lot of practical stuff, and yeah, it makes sense here also as well. Oppenheimer, they built a fucking set in the middle of a desert and recreated Los Alamos. Makes sense. Killers of the Flower Moon, they actually went back to Oklahoma and filmed a lot of stuff that happens in there, and also built a lot of stuff like from the ground up. It's $200 million, so Apple put a lot of money into it. So yeah, it makes sense. Same with like Napoleon, even though it's a lot of like green screen and shit like flying across the screen, but they also did go in the fields and do a lot of the real stuff that happened in real life. So yeah, like all of this makes sense. Again, Barbie number one, just because they actually built Barbie Land. So yeah, that's why I have Barbie at number one. Okay, so for best score, and I'm actually gonna do also best song because there should be together. So score, Oppenheimer winning, Poor Things number two, Killers of the Flower Moon number three, American Fiction at number four, and then for some fucking reason, Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny is here. One of the most jump scares moments I think from Oscar history, in my opinion, from this year. I know the narrative is, oh, this is John Williams' final kind of score performance, but honestly, it's a fine score. I rather prefer the Zone of Interest to be here, even though it was only like 12 minutes of scoring time. But yeah, hilarious for Indiana Jones to be here, even though the movie was just fine and forgettable. American Fiction's happy to be here. I actually like the score for American Fiction. There's a lot of jazz scoring that's happening in the movie, and it plays around with Monk's kind of perspective in mind throughout the movie. Killers of the Flower Moon score's fucking great. Rest in peace, the composer who did the movie. And then Poor Things is pretty fucking unique. There's a lot of crazy sound effects and kind of sounds that accumulate into like the movie, and it's also again a third character or fourth character to the movie. Same with Oppenheimer, plays around with a lot of sound effects and also helps with the score of the film and like the overall feel of the film. But yeah, like it makes sense for Oppenheimer to win here. And Poor Things at number two, just out of spite, and if it does win here, I'd be very happy. So best song, straightforward. It shouldn't be like completely diverting away from like the path. A lot of people were just predicting I'm Just Ken just because it's like the most popular song and the most memorable song in the movie. But let's be real, like What Was I Made For is going to win because of Billie Eilish and her popularity and just her face, and the song itself is probably way better than like the James Bond song in my opinion, and she's going to put a hell of a performance at the Oscars if she does perform. At number three, funny enough, I have Diane Warren's Flamin' Hot song, The Fire Inside, just because I like chaos, and it would be hilarious for her to win here after 20, 30 years of her being nominated constantly over and over and over again. So it's a fucking joke for her to have her be here again and lose again. But yeah, that'd be really funny. So at number four, I have the Killers of Flower Moon song, The Song for My People. Would be a dope win if it does happen. Number five, American Symphony, It Never Went Away. John Baptiste, legend in the industry. They just love him, so he's just happy to be here. So yeah, that's score and song. So for best sound, this is actually one of the predictions that I will probably get wrong, but fuck it, because I actually like chaos and I actually want to challenge myself with this one. So if you've been following this race for the past couple months, people have respectively believed that Oppenheimer will take it just because it's the big movie and it's going to sweep everywhere. But actually, low-key, The Zone of Interest has been doing pretty well in terms of sound. It actually didn't win the BAFTA for Best Sound, which I put a little stock into it, but I know a lot of people don't. Pundits wise, but I'm putting it there because I think it's poised to upset a lot of people, and I do believe that Zone of Interest is synonymous to the sound and the actual movie, what you're actually seeing and what you're actually hearing. And if you've seen the movie, you know this. So if you've seen the movie, you know that like the sound design is very integral and actually persuades the viewer into discomfort and more discerning kind of emotions throughout the movie, and just the sounds of like birds and babies crying and gunshots and all of that, like going in between the narrative, and then also visually you're seeing just like the normal mundane stuff of like people just gardening, talking, doing like their normal just day-to-day life, and then beneath like the walls you just hear violence and disgust and terror. So yeah, like it makes sense for it to win here. I would love it to win here, but again, Oppenheimer number 2 makes sense. If it wins here, I'd be happy, but low-key I'd be kind of sad because I think The Zone of Interest has better sound design and just sound in general. Maestro number 3, music. Number 4, Mission Impossible, cars go vroom vroom, explosions. Same with the creator, cars or just a lot of tech shit go vroom vroom and explosions. And yeah, so yeah, that's best sound. So for best visual effects, I have Godzilla Minus One at number 1, which is only the sole nomination here, and I put it at number 1 because if you actually have been reading a lot of like the production notes and just articles that's been like spinning around in the trades and stuff like that, like this movie costs I think about 30 million or lower sub budget, and they used the visual effects wisely and efficiently, and they made something that feels like a $100 million movie, but it's actually pretty low budget. And the same thing with like the creator, it was shot for I think like $85 million, and it looks like a $200 million movie, but they used the effects wisely. So it's between Godzilla and the creator, and honestly I would love to see Godzilla take it because it's the only nomination here, and it should have also been a part of the best international feature, but if we're going to talk about that, Japan picked something else, which is rightfully so the correct pick. But yeah, that's the top 2. Number 3, Mission Impossible, has a lot of cool visual effects stuff in between like the actual practical stunts. 4, Guardians of the Galaxy, probably the best looking Marvel movie from last year. So it's happy to be here. Napoleon also as well is happy to be here. Even past like the smoke, like darkness and shit that's happening in the war scenes, it still looks pretty good. So yeah, that's like the top 5 for visual effects. So for best animated feature, this is another one where I'm just like, it's a toss up between Across the Spider-Verse and Boy and the Heron. I've been checking this race for the past couple months, and early on a lot of people put stock on Across the Spider-Verse because it's the second movie, it's the most notable movie, and it's the most broadly seen movie across the board, from international to just domestic audiences. But also you have to mention that The Boy and the Heron has been doing pretty well. It actually took the Globe, and it also took the BAFTA for Best Animated Film. It lost the Annie, I think, to Across the Spider-Verse. But honestly, like, I'm not gonna lie, I think low-key The Boy and the Heron is probably gonna take it, probably because the whole narrative of Miyazaki believing that this is his last movie, but it's not really going to be his last movie. He's working on his next movie, but you never know. He could probably pass in the next couple years before his next movie. So like, it would be happy for him to win here. But also you have to mention Across the Spider-Verse took the Annie, and of course there's been a controversy with like the working conditions of the movie being very poor and like treating like the animators wrong. So I don't know if that's gonna like translate across like the voting kind of thing, but I wouldn't be shocked if The Boy and the Heron takes it, and rightfully so. I believe it should take it. Across the Spider-Verse, like the whole Spider-Verse movies, like they have a chance for the next time in the third movie and final movie if it's the final movie. So yeah, but I'm still predicting Across the Spider-Verse at number 1 just to save myself from any damage. Number 3, Nimona. 4, Robot Dreams, and number 5, Elemental. Robot Dreams, low-key is fucking great. It should have came out early last year. I don't know what the fuck Neon's doing with like the release, but I was able to catch it before anything started to rise up. But I love that movie, and I also love Nimona. It's just happy to be here, and I'm glad it's here because of the production problems it had for the past couple of years. I'm glad Netflix took it. Elemental's just here. It's fine. That's it. Yeah, that's basically it. So the next one I have is Best Documentary Feature. Pretty easy. 20 Days in Mariupol. Subject matter is real and it's happening right now in Russia and Ukraine. Runner up is The Four Daughters, which I actually saw was very emotional and very complex with its documentary kind of narrative blend. Eternal Memory is another one where it kind of moved me. It's about like a disease and just mental stuff that's happening. To Kill a Tiger is another one that upsetted me and moved me, and it made me pissed off throughout, probably because of its subject matter. And Bobby Wine is another one that kind of like ruined me with its subject matter, political subject matter. So like all of these like choices are really great, and yeah, like it makes sense for 20 Days in Mariupol to take it here, just because of the political unrest that's happening right now. But yeah, that's my top 5 for best documentary feature. So the next one I have is best international feature. Number 1, I have Zone of Interest. Number 2, Society of the Snow. Number 3, Teacher's Lounge. Number 4, Perfect Days. And then number 5 at Io Capitano. I've seen all of these, especially Io Capitano, which is actually now in theaters. But I was able to see it before because I have screeners. So yeah, like Zone of Interest, it's submitting itself as a UK-Polish collab, but most of the movie is in German, and the director is British, and the country that it's representing itself is between UK and Poland. I think it's UK here, if I'm correct. But yeah, like, this is the only shot where the Zone of Interest can win, and it makes sense because this movie is a masterpiece in my own mind. A lot of people who've seen it are split between that, but that's just me, and I really fuck with it, and I've seen it, like, what was it, 3 times? 2 or 3 times now? And it's still one of those movies that has been stuck on my mind. And Society of the Snow is kind of like the runner-up, mainly because it's been widely seen on Netflix, and it came out like dead in late December and then January on Netflix. So it had a lot of time for people to actually check it out and see it, and it's pretty damn great. I had some problems with like the pacing, but like near the end, it got me emotionally. Same goes with the Teacher Lounge. It's chaotic, crazy, and it deals with a teacher running shit up in a school. But yeah, like that's a cool nomination. And Perfect Days is another cool nomination. Wim Wenders, his first movie in the past couple years, his first narrative movie in like quite a while, and he's representing Japan. And the movie's fantastic, emotional, and just heartwarming. And Io Capitano is, I think, directed by, like the City of God director or the Gomorrah director. And this is his movie just about refugees and immigration, and just like real shit that's happening in terms of people immigrating from a third world country to kind of like a second and first world country. And if you've seen it, it's pretty thrilling and intense and very emotional. But I'm going with Zone of Interest at number 1, and I'm not going to change it. Nothing's going to stop it, unfortunately. So yeah. So the last 3 categories I have are animated short, documentary short, and live action short. Now here's the thing, I did not finish the animated short category. I have, I think, 2 left that are unavailable online, and I probably missed them at the theaters with the shorts run type of thing. So I don't have any stock with like the animated short. So that's the first thing. But I did finish the rest of the categories, the documentary and live action shorts. So I don't have to really put my thinking cap on. But let me put my thinking cap on for animated short. I did see Letter to a Pig, and I'm predicting it at number 1 because it has a lot of cool animation. I think it's like stuck between Studio Ghibli type of like animation and kind of like watercolor animation a little bit, but it also plays around with like surrealism and just a lot of very heady and like intense emotional themes with like childhood and adulthood. And then number 2, I have War is Over, music by John and Yoko Ono.
Beatles. Literally, that's just like debate, like coming in and going like, well, you like the Beatles, so you should like this animated short. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't really vouch. But 95 Senses, I have at number 3. That's another one where it has a lot of cool animated stuff that's happening between 2D animation and watercolor animation. Paradigm, or Paradigm, French animated film, short film. I thought that was a pretty good one also as well. And I haven't seen Our Uniform, so I can't really vouch with that. Documentary short. This one's really interesting because usually this is where a lot of like documentaries win because they're hyperly political and controversial and like have a lot of like controversial and political themes. And this one this year is between the ABC books of Banning, The Last Repair Shop, Nai Nai Waipow, The Barber of Little Rock, and Island in Between. I did see the ABC books of Banning, and the subject itself I fuck with, and I agree in terms of people banning books just because they have not immoral material, but just more challenging material. And you see just a lot of like the kids who are being interviewed that are talking about these books, and they're believing that, oh yeah, like sure, these books are very intense and like have a lot of themes that are like way over our heads, but like we have to learn about like these subjects so like we can learn about like real life and how life works. And like I agree with everything, but it's just that like the presentation itself is very amateurish and quite frankly very boomer-ish, because you're watching it and it's just literally just PowerPoint slides of just people talking about like the subject, and then also you'll have like graphics of just like, oh yeah, this book is banned, dude. And it's just like the presentation is very like amateurish, so that it was kind of like off-putting watching that movie, not with the subject matter but just like the presentation. So yeah, like I know it's probably going to win because of its subject, but I'm just like looking at it, I'm just like, if somebody else directed this and made it like more kind of like cinematic, more like challenging to like the viewer, then yeah, like I would love to like see it win, but it's still going to win anyways. The Last Repair Shop I think should actually win here, because it's a very kind of like emotional story about like this repair shop that repairs musical instruments, and a lot of like patrons who go there, like they have a lot of like stories about like this repair shop, but like also just like the stories of like them playing like these musical instruments, and just like stories of immigration, and like it's a really kind of emotional documentary that I really enjoyed. The Nai Nai Waipow is really fun documentary, which is directed by the director of Didi, the movie that just premiered at Sundance, which I really loved. And this is his kind of short film about his two grandmothers from each side of the family, and they both get along, and they tell their stories about like their immigration stories and just stuff that happens like in the U.S. And I really enjoyed that documentary. And I also liked the Barber of Little Rock, which dealt with gentrification and just was it electoral stuff that's happening in these communities of color. And then Island in Between, I thought it was fine. It was about Thailand and immigration stuff that's happening in between Thailand and China. But yeah, I have ABC Books of Banning at number 1, Last Repair Shop at number 2, and then Nai Nai Waipow at number 3, For Little Barber of Little Rock, and then number 5 I have Island in Between. So finally I have Best Live Action Short, number 1 being Henry Sugar, directed by Wes Anderson, who has the upper hand because he's the most popular director in this category, and he's wide known, and a lot of his shorts were really great. But I also enjoyed Henry Sugar, so it's like crazy for him to be nominated here, and he'll probably take it. It's kind of unfair, but it is what it is. And then number 2 I have Red, White, and Blue, another one I saw. It's an abortion short, and it has a really crazy twist where even if you weren't paying attention to the movie or the short, you kind of know where it's going to go, but also you don't. And when the twist happens, you're just like, man, it hits you hard. Number 3, my personal favorite is Invincible, which is a Canadian-French short based on a true subject, which I don't want to spoil, but is very emotional and sad. And once the twist happens, it really moves me. and Night of Fortune, I saw it. I don't remember it, but I thought it was fine. And then The After is probably like the worst short documentary or short live action short here. Really hammy and just lazy. And once you know, like the first 5 minutes of the movie, the rest of it is just it's sappiness. And I like the actor, Chiwetel Ejiofor. He's a great actor, but here he's trying and he's playing a lot with manipulation and emotions. So yeah, I don't understand why it's here, but again, I do because it's very sappy and just contrived. So yeah, that's like the top 5 for live action short, and that's just basically all of the shorts. And yeah, that's basically it. All right, so that's all the predictions for all the categories. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Yeah, this season's been pretty intense in terms of best actress and best actor, but the rest of these categories are pretty straightforward, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. I'm not going to do a reaction of all these categories live, but I might do kind of like a post analysis of just the race that was happening for the past couple months and kind of look forward for the future. And yeah, so thank you guys so much. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, night, evening, morning. And yeah, I'll be doing more of these videos next year for the next Oscar season. And yeah, thank you guys.